Nick Masci, Core Group Lead, New England Community Practice. Really honoured that he's here with us this evening. Vice President of Haley & Aldridge. Haley & Aldridge are a unique company. Usually the lean companies I've come across are either lean practitioners or most of them are just lean practitioners that go out advising. But Haley & Aldridge are a construction company that evolved to adopt lean principles and tools about 10 years ago. And then they saw the benefit of it and broke out a separate group. And that's where Nick and Mac are actually part of. So we're really honoured to have him here, Vice President of Haley & Aldridge and also lean practitioner. So I'll pass you over to Noel.
It's really an honor to be here. So I am Nick Masci. I live in New Hampshire, and I lead the New England Community of Practice for the Lean Construction Institute. I also want to recognize one of my colleagues is here. He's actually our lean sensei at Haley & Aldridge. Steve McIntyre is right here. He goes by Mac if you do talk with him. So it's great to be here together. I want to say that being here is an honor, and I was sharing this with John before the talk today that I think I got my lean bug when I was in the Navy. I went to college on a Navy scholarship, and we're out in the middle of the ocean, and the chief engineering officer stops me in the passageway and says, "Nick, what are you doing today? Are you getting better or worse?" Because we're in the middle of the ocean. And I said, "I'm getting better." And I think that's what we want to embody here, this spirit of continuous improvement that leads to operational excellence. And so I didn't call it lean back then, but what we were trying to do was always get better. And so I really do credit Captain Tansey was his name. I really do credit him with some of that. So I want to talk today about some of the principles that guide us as a community of practice. And we're going to talk about some of the things that are happening in our COP that are helping to mold our industry around us in the New England region. So the first thing I would say is that the first thing that we want to do is to make our message accessible. So I hear all the time from people, what is lean? What does it mean to be lean? Does lean mean trimming the fat? And as a group, we really have a responsibility to simplify that message. And so as a COP, we've honed in on this to share with people. And it's so simple. It's about value, waste, and respect for people. And so often, we focus on the waste because it's so prevalent. But if we don't start with value by understanding what's really important to our customers, we might be eliminating the wrong thing if we're going after waste. How do we know if we're not? So value is going to give you this system approach that everybody craves. It's going to get you out of your silos. So anything that detracts from value once we're all in agreement is waste, and that becomes the object for really ruthless removal. And that's the waste we're talking about. These are the big gains. But we have to start with value. And then the last part that really does get lost a lot is respect for people. So really our goal here is to give the work back to the people and empower them. And this is what we saw here. Let's fix the hole in the boat together. And how do we do that? And when you do all of these things together, value, waste, and respect for people, and you incorporate the scientific method, PDCA, that's when the magic starts to happen. And that's when things start to get easier, better, faster, and cheaper. But we really do need to start with easier. Let's make things easier, right? Joe, you probably saw that. I saw that. And if you make it easier, are we showing respect for our people? Are we just not telling them to go and do more? So this is a key tenet. And then we have to really be explicit, and we hear journey, we hear philosophy, and the philosophy is that lean is about 90% is people and 10% is tools. A tool never went and did some lean thinking. It's people that do that. And we heard this. Focus on the learning. And when you do that, you're really going to have some enduring results. And so I think that if we think about people, we also find, now I want to start talking a little bit about the COP, is that you really do find that a COP is a wonderful place for collaboration and to help people at all different levels of their journey to get better. So let's look at this COP as a place to model the behavior that we want from people within our own company, that we want to have with our trade partners that we work side by side with, and that we want our owners to exhibit with us. So we need to model the behavior, and this is a fantastic lab. You can't have a better lab. So let's look at the COP as a place to model collaborative behavior that we all want. So we heard spectators, we heard participants, and so a community of practice is a place, and with our community practice, we have strategy reviews every year, and we talk to ourselves, we ask ourselves, who are our customers? Do we know what they value? And from that, we start to understand that, you need to meet people where they're at. So John French wants you to come back. And you should come back because the COP is gonna have a place for everybody. So I have them broken down into two groups. Those that just want to learn, find out what it is, get this bug, have the aha moment, and move to the next level. Then you typically have a core group, and these guys are right up here, right? These are the hardcore ninjas up here. And so what we have with these people is a place to really challenge each other as practitioners and challenge each other to become fantastic facilitators. So that's the next part. And I think one of the things that we find is that it does become a trusting place to come. And so one of the challenges that you're going to have, and I'll share with you that in our community practice, it took us a couple years before we really started to share what was happening in our companies, really share the data, really share the way that we use things. I tell Mac, anybody can have our tools because it's 90% people. But this is one of the barriers that you're going to have to overcome, is that it's not a zero-sum game. And a lot of people tend to hold things close. So I'm going to encourage you right from the get-go to share your tools, share your stories, share your data, bring your customers. I'm not going to bring my customer because if I bring my customer, people are going to try to steal them. That was a message that we had to overcome. So I want you to be thinking about that and get over it. And I will say that, when I talk about the hardcore practitioners and wannabes, we're one of the few communities of practice that have an R&D committee. So the two focus areas for us this year are in visual management systems. So how do we make our workplaces more visual? And I just challenge you to say, if you were to walk out into any part of a construction site right now, could you walk up and within 10 seconds know if you're ahead or behind? My guess is you can't, without asking people, without asking them to stop what they're doing and give you a report. So that's a big one for us. And the other, because we are now sharing data, is we're starting a collaboration with RS Means. Is RS Means prevalent over here? So RS Means is a cost data center, and they publish manuals about metric costs for construction activities. So RS Means is going to collaborate with us. We're going to share data with them and once we get enough data in the pipeline, they're going to publish a correction factor in RS Means. What's the name of your benchmarking construction data book here? You don't have? Okay, well, there's another R&D committee idea. So they're going to publish a correction factor for a lean construction project. And we're targeting 20%. So an owner always wants to know, what do I get out of a construction project? Why should I invest in lean? Why should I bring all of these contractors on board early? What are they going to do for me? So we're trying to answer that question to quantify the value of lean. So the next question I think that, that our community practice has been very involved in is, again, around this question, what does it mean to be lean? So people want to know, how do I craft a responsible proposal for services that includes lean language? I can only tell you that we've come a long way in our region from just having misspelled buzzwords, all capitalized lean, this, that, the other thing, to a coherent message that says, I'm not going to focus on the tools, I'm going to tell you why this is important to me. And that I think lean thinking can help. And let you decide as service providers how you would provide that. So that, again, goes back to respecting people. And then on the other side of that, we as a group have to be responsible about the way that we respond to RFPs. So we have a lot of people that are in it for the wrong reason. I need to get a few buzzwords so I can get into my RFP so that I'll get selected. I'll worry about that later. So we really need to focus on, as a group, how is it that we position ourselves with the owners? Can we tell an honest story about where we are on our journey, and will that be okay? My guess is that's okay, because owners are looking for people to go on the journey with. What you need is the right attitude. So I talked about quantifying the results, and then something else that comes up all the time is, who is the chief collaborator? Should I, as the owner, be the chief collaborator? Should it be the construction manager? Should it be the designer? I mean, so what's the answer? Yes, the answer is yes. The answer is it's nobody, it's everybody. This is what we're striving for too, right? So don't try to pin this down. Let water seek its own level. Let the CL part of the change equation rise for itself. So the other part that you can look forward to as a community practice is that if you're doing what you say you're going to be doing, you're going to become a center of gravity for lean in the region. By the way, I'm not sure that we've ever had this kind of turnout in New England yet. I mean, so this is fantastic. So you're really up to something here. I mean, the amount of enthusiasm that's here is, is knocking my socks off. So what I would say about this is that when I look at all of these groups here, they all come to us and say, will you help us craft a message? Would you come and help teach something? What do you think about the way we're positioning this? And if I look at this, I'd say, and I look and I see the American Institute of Architects. Yeah, I see some oddball ones in there that are coming to us too. The Society of Marketing Professionals. I gave a talk at their one of their large conferences 2 months ago. It was one of the most energized groups I've ever seen. They were interested in telling a truthful story. They answer RFPs, right? Proposals. They're interested in telling an honest story. They're tired of the BS. So they're looking for people to help to peel away the mythology of lean and tell an honest story about it. And then we saw RS Means, and I was really happy to see that part of your founding group is part of the educational element, and we have some very strong educational requirements. And then what I would say about all of these groups is that they're all very actively involved in the construction business in New England, and the Boston skyline is booming right now. It's going nuts. And we held an informal survey, and of the 15 large tower cranes, every single one of those tower cranes, every single one of those projects, they all have major lean initiatives in them. So we've been able to really infuse the construction industry, the owner group, with different levels. People are going to have different levels, but it's happening all over the place. So what's the bottom line? The bottom line is a COP is a community of practice. So what we're going to have different people at different points in their journey, but at some level, let's all try to be a practitioner, whatever that means to you. So put the practitioner in practice. I think we ought to model the behavior we seek. So we use strategic planning for ourselves. We use lean methodology for our meetings. We generate our meeting minutes within 30 minutes of the close of a meeting. So all of these things are happening, and if we do it when we're practicing, it's going to happen in real life. So again, use this as an incubator. Feel safe about it. And then I'd say that for most companies, it's fun to go out and do a couple lean things. But the real magic is going to happen when you can go from doing lean things to really being lean. And that again goes back to the people part, and that it permeates everything that we do. When I write an email, I use PDCA as my outline. I use A3 thinking as my outline. What's the background and context? What's the current condition? What are my goals? How did I analyze this? What am I recommending? This is my plan, and this is how I'm going to make sure that I'm in some format. This is how I'm going to make sure that things are going to work. What do you think? I get back responses that are normally just like, thanks for the update, go ahead. That kind of lean thinking can lead to the empowerment. So I don't look for yes. I look for someone just to say, great, go ahead and do it. So this is an opportunity for you to model the behavior that we seek.